where news comes first. This is ABC-7 Extra.
Welcome to ABC-7 Extra. I'm Saul Saenz, and thank you for permitting us into your homes. Tonight, I want to talk about an issue that greatly impacts the borderland: immigration and the sweeping changes by the presidential executive orders. This is what the border barrier, also known as Trump's border wall, looks like today. No one is on the other side of the barrier close to Mexico. President Biden put a halt to construction the very first day he took office. This is what it looked like, the barrier, in 2019, when hundreds of migrants would arrive to the border barrier on a daily basis asking for asylum. Immigration lawyers and local leaders believe we could see another immigration surge, like the kind we saw in 2019 following President Biden's sweeping immigration changes. President Joe Biden is overturning many of former President Donald Trump's immigration policies, eliminating some of those policies. Trump's policies were aimed at trying to stop the 2019 unprecedented surge of migrants from Central America to our borders. On Monday, President Biden signed 3 executive orders. The first stops the separation of migrant families at the border. To this day, more than 600 children have not been reunited with their family members.
The reestablishment of the interagency task force and the reunification of families.
Hundreds of thousands of Central American families fled their homeland, countries like Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, some joining caravans for the long trek through Mexico and to our borders. Biden's second order is aimed at trying to find out why migrant families fled their homeland, bound for the U.S.
Is creating a comprehensive regional framework to address the causes of migration and to manage migration throughout the North and Central America, and to provide a safe and orderly processing of asylum seekers at the United States border.
Although the third executive order was vague, immigration lawyers believe it will address the migrant protection protocols or remain in Mexico policy for asylum seekers. Then, just Thursday, President Biden increased the number of refugees the U.S. will permit into the country. I asked immigration attorney Daniel Caudillo if he believes these sweeping immigration changes could lead to another migrant surge.
I hope that they will not begin a surge to come to the United States. However, it's unrealistic to think that since the election, there's been different quote-unquote caravans or groups of individuals that have been traveling to the United States seeking refuge.
Here to talk about all this, the impact these changes will have on the borderland, is County Judge Ricardo Samaniego. The county judge has firsthand experience of the 2019 unprecedented surge. I also want to welcome El Paso County Republican Party Chair Ray Baca. Mr. Baca believes there are philosophical issues that have to be taken into consideration when making so many sweeping immigration policy changes. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. And I'll start with you, Judge, because you met on Friday with some of the officials who would have to handle a surge should we see one. Is El Paso County and El Paso the city expecting a surge?
Well, you know, what we talked about is really that we shouldn't be too quick to understand or think that we know what's going to happen. A lot of things are different. As you know, you put COVID into the mix and you've got a complete different situation. So as much as we feel we've learned about what happened in the past with refugees, it's going to be a very different phenomenon. The nice thing is that, you know, collaboration, as always, is going to be a huge part of it. We're seeing some things happening in Del Rio that are different from here, and I think it's because of the collaboration. More are going into the community, into their own communities, where in our case, you know, they are staying in Mexico, or the expulsion goes back into Mexico. So this collaboration, we actually had Consul Ibarra and Consul Cohen on this call, as well as all the different agencies, and we had, you know, everybody that needs to be there. So trying to prepare the best that we can, but we still don't want to speculate too much at this point in time. But we feel prepared. You know, we had Annunciation Home last time, was a big player. All the charities were a big player. As you know now, because of COVID, you have challenges. You're not going to have a lot of the volunteers that we had last year, which was mostly retired, are going to be, you know, put themselves in a vulnerable situation. You also have the space situation where you could hold 100, you can only now hold 25 because of social distancing and the protocols that we need to adhere to.
Okay.
So still trying to figure things out, and hoping that, you know, our community begins to get ready for whatever happens. So, but not really clear at this point in time.
Right. Let's get to Mr. Ray Baca. Mr. Baca, your opinion, you have issues or philosophical issues with these sweeping changes because this could trigger another surge. So you have a problem with these policy changes, right?
Well, we do. And you know, I hope that the judge is correct in his optimistic thinking that it will not be as bad as before. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. I think as word gets out and people get this misconception and many times that, hey, it's a wide open border, come on down, you can stay, no problem, it's bound to create a surge. I think it's unrealistic to think that it's not. And, you know, from our perspective, and I'm speaking not just as a Republican, as a citizen of El Paso and a conservative citizen, I might add, this is not the time to address this. You know, as the judge mentioned, we have an issue still with COVID, and this is not a time to be inviting thousands of people to come and, you know, cross the border. It's just not one is not prepared for this type of thing. And, you know, Judge, I certainly, you have my sympathies and my respect because you're going to have your hands full. And I wish there was something that could be done to help you, but the community is going to have a big problem if this happens again, because I'm almost certain that it will.
Do you believe that these sweeping changes are an invitation for refugees or migrants to head to our borders? Is that what you believe?
Absolutely. I think the word is going to get out, and some of it has already, that things are different. President Biden is going to let anybody come in for any reason with no restriction, come on down. And once that word filters down there, people that have been thinking about it and hadn't done it before, they're going to be willing to take the risk. You know, our policies of doing this actually invite people. We put people at risk because they risk their life to make this 1,000 or 1,500 mile trip in some cases because they think they're going to the promised land. And I don't blame them for coming. I mean, they're looking at better opportunity. I don't blame them at all. But, you know, we need comprehensive reform. But the comprehensive reform that we need is not anybody who wants to could just come in, no control, no investigation, no check of who's getting in. And you know what? If you get here, you're going to become a citizen. And I'm afraid that's the message that gets out.
Okay.
The message that gets out to people is if you can make it to the United States, we're going to let you in. And that's not the message we want to send, especially not now.
Right. We've set the stage. We're going to continue the conversation. We're going to take a really quick break. You're watching ABC-7 Extra. When we come back, my guest and I will talk about a possible immigration surge during the pandemic. What sort of resources would shelters need when hosting migrants when the city is dealing with COVID-19? You're watching ABC-7 Extra, where news first.
When you pay extra for a turbocharged engine, you might feel the need to show it off. But if it comes standard, you might not.
Quick call or come by your Volkswagen dealer today and lease the sporty, driver-inspired 2021 Jetta S for just $199 a month.
Love is in the air, and ABC-7 wants to help your love grow this Valentine's Day by giving you a chance to win a $100 gift certificate from Jewel Gallery and a $100 gift certificate from Kern Place Florist. Send your favorite photo of you and your love to kvia.com and register to win.
El Paso, the El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank needs volunteers. Help fill and distribute boxes of food or donate money. $1 feeds 7 people. Learn more about the El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank at 298-0353. Online at elpasoansfightinghunger.org.
Whether this is the new you, perhaps an improved you, or maybe it's the same you, we're here with convenience, reliability, and accessibility. Anywhere and at any time, so you can keep being you. We're with you. Learn more about our remote services at gecu.com.
Can you cook up the barbecue bacon burger at home? Well, does your home have fresh chopped onions, pickles, smoked cheddar, Monterey Jack, bacon, tangy barbecue sauce, and orange and white stripes with the word Whataburger emblazoned out front? If so, then absolutely. Good thing there's the limited time barbecue bacon burger at Whataburger. Available by drive-thru, curbside, and delivery.
When you pay extra for a turbocharged engine, you might feel the need to show it off. But if it comes standard, you might not. Quick call or come by your Volkswagen dealer today and lease the sporty, driver-inspired 2021 Jetta S for just $199 a month.
I'm not making new law. I'm eliminating bad policy. What I'm doing is taking on the issues that 99% of them that the last president of the United States, issued executive orders I thought were very counterproductive to our security, counterproductive to who we are as a country, particularly in the area of immigration. This is about how America is safer, stronger, more prosperous when we have a fair, orderly, and humane legal immigration.
And welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. I also want to welcome back County Judge Ricardo Samaniego and El Paso Republican Party Chair Ray Baca. I'm going to start this time with you, Mr. Baca. So you just heard President Biden saying that the sweeping changes that he's making was because former President Donald Trump's policies were bad. Your thoughts?
Well, I obviously disagree with that. You know, the President Trump was for a secure border, and I think a majority of Americans and majority of El Pasoans actually want a reasonable control on the border, not an anti-immigration, just controlled immigration. And what President Trump did is he made it a little tougher for people to get in. That's true. But by so doing, the word spread to not just Mexico, but the other countries in Central America that it wasn't as easy to get in as they thought. So they may as well stay home and make the best of their situation there. You know, we as a country have a certain obligation, but I don't think our obligation extends to taking care of every single non-citizen who happens to think that they can make it to the United States. It has to be a reasonable policy. I would like to see more efforts made to improve the economies of those countries so that they don't have to come to the United States. So no, I don't think that President Biden's view of this is correct. My philosophy is more along what President Trump said. No, we want a reasonable immigration policy. We allow people in that help our economy, not hurt it. We're in the middle of high unemployment. We're in the middle of a COVID crisis. We don't need to be opening the gates in this manner.
Your thoughts?
Not at this time.
Your thoughts, Judge?
Yeah, well, where we coincide, and that's speaking to Consul Cohen, he said they're putting out information and doing everything they can with all the U.S. consuls around the country to say now is not the time to head to the border. And so he was very adamant that there's a lot of information going in as much as they can. He said, I know that's not going to be what's going to keep them, but I think the truth is we would be irresponsible to try to draw people to the border when we're having such a difficult situation ourselves. We haven't vaccinated properly. We haven't gotten to the binational decision to do something for both sides so that we could feel safer. And so I think it would be responsible to try to do something when we're not managing ourselves. We can't take care of the COVID crisis. We got March is looking as a really difficult month. Maybe some of the other strains will be coming in more into our communities. So we've got a huge challenge. So I think it would be responsible to draw or give the indication that it's okay, because we're really putting them under harm's way, and we're putting our citizens and the people here in El Paso in harm's way as well. We've talked a lot about we each need to take care of our situation the best that we can, and that's where we are now. I'd rather help in vaccinations in the Mexican side and be able to collaborate with our technology and best practices and so forth. That should be the primary thing that we do right now: save lives, keep people from catching COVID, get the vaccination. Trying to deal with that with any kind of immigration surge would be extremely difficult for our community.
Mr. Baca, one of the executive orders that President Biden signed has to do exactly with that, with looking into what sort of changes are needed in those different countries where these refugees or migrants are coming from. Is that not enough?
Well, that's a first step, certainly. We need to understand what are the economic drivers of Honduras that are causing them to leave, or Venezuela or Guatemala, wherever it is. And if we can do anything to improve those economic drivers, then we certainly should do it. It's kind of sad, and this is not really an immigration issue, but with President Biden making such a large case for global warming and essentially stopping the oil industry in the United States, maybe that's going to help them. I don't know. Maybe their oil industries will do better because they're not going to be competing with the United States. But whatever it is that they are lacking in, including graft in their political system, we need to see if we can help them solve that in any way we can. We are a caring nation. We always go out and help other countries with natural disasters or anything they need. We should be a caring nation, but not to the extent that it hurts our own people. We can't care enough about our neighbor that it hurts ourselves.
Judge, do you think we need to take it a step beyond that in trying to help the countries, the situations, the economies in those different countries, and maybe send a message out? Don't head this way because we've got COVID-19, we have issues, and we may not be able to care for you the way we did back in 2019?
Absolutely, and I agree with what the judge said.
Yeah, I was asking.
It's not the time.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the judge that same question.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, if you, in my case, I experienced maquiladora when they were paying a little bit better. We were taking care of them. You hardly ever lost anybody. I was in some that were 6,000, 7,000 employees in one. We had 150,000 at one time employees, and you never heard people wanting to come to Mexico as much as we want to go visit or, you know, that kind of, but we never had turnover based on people leaving because I believe we did a great job. I belong to the Maquila Association. We focus a lot on respect, paying properly, making sure that they felt good, educating. I think that was a huge compliment to individuals wanting to stay. Very few people that I know of really wanted to leave other than because they don't have jobs or they don't have opportunities. So there is something to say about focusing and helping them with the economy. And especially now, we can help them with their economy and they don't have to come. They're going to come into a very dangerous situation. And then we got to remember that. I'll give you an example. Yesterday we had the highest number of bodies here in El Paso at the location where we're holding the bodies.
You're talking about Thursday? Thursday?
Pardon?
You're talking about Thursday, Judge?
Yes, I'm sorry, Thursday. Yeah. So just able to see that. I can't forget that things are still critical here in our community. So when I go to these situations and I see trailers that are still full of bodies and we haven't processed them and the funeral homes are, I don't want to add to that situation. It's been so heartfelt here in our community, and to bring in another situation at this point in time, to me, unless you're in the middle of this situation, you know how critical it would be if we start getting more and more people coming across and we're not able to handle that situation. So once again, we're still in a very critical situation here in El Paso, and whatever we could do to avoid more people with virus or having to deal with a situation over and above what we have now is going to be one of the first steps into recovery.
Okay, we're going to take another quick break. You're watching ABC-7 Extra. Still ahead, I'll ask my guests, what should happen to the border wall? Should it remain in place? Or should we subscribe to the late President Ronald Reagan's famous quote, Mr. President, tear down that wall. We'll be back.
A spark of light can become a beacon of hope, just like your plasma. Donate your plasma to help save lives. When you give your light, it shines on all of us. Find a Griffel Center at griffelsplasma.com.
Great American Steak Burger is El Paso's original steak burger restaurant, providing outstanding food and service based on the tradition of our founders since 1985. Our two locations on the east side at Yarborough and Montwood and on the west side at Mesa Hills near Sunland Park Mall have on-site, hand-cut, aged choice steaks, as well as an amazing selection of delicious seafood and, of course, our signature steak burgers. Dine in our family-friendly atmosphere or order to go and enjoy your favorite meal at home. Enjoy your next meal out with the Great American Steak Burger family, El Paso owned and operated for over 35 years.
At El Paso Electric, we provide the energy solutions our vibrant region needs and deserves.
And we're transforming your energy landscape.
We're replacing 3 60-year-old generators with one low-carbon footprint unit.
Tripling the solar resources that currently power our region.
Developing innovations like utility-scale battery storage.
Offering resources to help you save energy and money.
And providing more ways to communicate with us.
Get to know us again and see how we're meeting the needs of our growing community.
It's time to trade at Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso. That's right, we need all trades, cars, trucks, SUVs, and more. And we'll give you a firm offer in 30 minutes or less. Plus, you'll save thousands on every new Hyundai in stock with 0 down and 0% APR for 72 months. That's no interest for 72 months. Or 2021 Konas and 2021 Sonatas, your choice, $199 a month. Kona, Sonata, your choice, $199. It's time to trade today at Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso.
You have a special light to give. Donate your plasma to brighten the lives of patients around the world, especially now. Give your light. Donate plasma. Find a Griffel Center at griffelsplasma.com.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra, and welcome back to County Judge Ricardo Samaniego and El Paso Republican Party Chair Ray Baca. On day one after Joe Biden was inaugurated as our nation's president, one of the first executive orders Biden signed was to halt construction of the border wall. Should the president simply stop construction or order the wall be brought down? I'll start with you this time, Judge. What do you think ought to happen to that wall? A lot of people see it as an eyesore. Some other people see it as a godsend.
Well, as you know, I've always worked with collaboration, and I've worked with, we need to have the reforms that are required. We need to, I never saw the wall as being anything but a symbolic gesture of how we feel or a philosophical gesture, but I don't think it had, as you know, most of the traffic and the problems we have and the drugs that are passed and come right through customs. And so I've never seen that as the solution. I'm a person, I look at root cause, and that is definitely not the root cause. I think we talked about things about helping the economy, about, discouraging because it's COVID right now. And there's a lot of things we have to do, but I in particular do not feel in any way that the wall contributed other than to create that kind of animosity between two nations that, we love our trade. We have a great situations where we're doing things right between the two of us. And then all of a sudden we start looking at each other as if we're different, as if we can't sit down at the table and discuss things so that we can make things better for both sides of the countries. And so I'm more for let's be collaborative. Let's sit down at the table. I've had a difficult time with the governor understanding this binational. I would love for him to be able to come in and sit down with the leadership and then bring some of the local leadership from Juarez and have these discussions as to what can we do in a collaborative manner, more so than thinking that the wall is going to be the answer.
Judge Samaniego, should we keep the wall, though?
Well, I think it's already there. I don't know what you talk about. Right now, the economy is so difficult. Any money that goes into to be spending other than to fighting COVID or to the ability for us to do other things, it costs money. And so right now, I'd rather just halt it and then decide what we're going to do. But I'm not sure that's going to be a solution, not from a business standpoint, that'll be a solution. So at this point, I'd have to really assess to see what the cost would be. But right now, I would say that I wouldn't focus on going further on the wall. It just doesn't make sense because of my relationships with Mexico. I know how they felt about having that wall. It did hurt our relationships, and I think we can improve them by collaboration more so than thinking that the wall is going to be the answer.
Mr. Baca, I have to clarify. Of course, President Reagan said that in Berlin. He at no point in time said it down here in this region. What do you think ought to happen to the wall? Do you think they should continue constructing the wall, or is it good, leave it just the way it is?
No, I think, and I agree with about 85% of what the judge said. The only thing, including the fact that it's an eyesore. I mean, I wish I didn't have to see it when I drive up and down I-10, but I think it's a necessary eyesore. We've got large swaths of the country that are uncontrolled, and if we don't have a wall, then we're going to spend a whole lot more money with hundreds, perhaps thousands of more agents having to patrol the wall. But even in that respect, it is less effective. The Border Patrol people that I've spoken with, they like the wall. It's not a solution. It doesn't stop everybody. Everybody knows that. But at least there are certain points where it's not quite as easy to get across. Most of our problem, as the judge said, is happening at the checkpoints at the ports of entry because we're being too liberal in allowing them to claim political asylum or something like that. But That notwithstanding that, there are just so many areas that cannot be controlled. There are a lot of areas, if the wall has done anything, it has again slowed down the rate, maybe made it a little bit more difficult for the drug smugglers. They're still going to get across, no doubt about it. But why make it easy? So I definitely would not tear it down. I agree it doesn't make economic sense to tear it down. I would continue the wall. I may continue it a little bit more selectively and target it a little bit better than just a border to border across the country. But I think the wall has served its purpose and should continue to be used.
What about what the county judge, Ricardo Samaniego, just said, is that perhaps we should refocus those resources to help folks, obviously, with the economy, the pandemic and whatnot, instead of spending or dumping more money into that wall? What about that, Mr. Baca?
Well, I disagree, but I don't know that one offsets the other. I would, as far as the wall is concerned, I would target the wall where it's most effective. I'd ask the Border Patrol people, where do you need it most? And maybe we're not going to finish that wall this year. Maybe it's not going to be, or even if President Trump were in office, maybe he wouldn't have finished it this year, while we do the other things. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I think that you would proceed, we're going to proceed with all reasonable haste to solve our economic problems and our COVID problem, no doubt about that. And if it means slowing down the wall for a couple of years, I would be okay with that. But I think the wall has to be a long-term solution to our problem.
County Judge, final thoughts. As you well know, because of these sweeping changes, I know that the city and the county are bracing for a possible surge. What are your final thoughts on this issue?
Well, like I said, we know people are discouraged because of COVID. I mean, so even within themselves. So we do hear a lot. We hear that Guatemala's doing a little bit better as far as holding back some of the people coming in. Mexico's not as receptive as they were before. They were so almost like helping the situation through. And sort of let's see where it ends. But now I think they're more understanding that it's a burden, a huge burden for them to participate in that way. So I think if every country sort of realizes that they have to deal with a situation that just people coming back and forth, some of them that don't make it go back to their countries and they might have COVID. So once again, I think this crisis with COVID is something that is a really, I mean, it's sort of we have to look at things so different. Every nation has to look at it different. This is a worldwide pandemic, and everybody has to figure out what they're going to do within that situation. Okay. And so I do feel that it's going to be a little different. We are going to prepare. Like I said, we're looking at all the nonprofits, see what they're going to be able to do. We're right. Looking at whatever it is that we can do just to send the message that it's not the right time to come to the border. It's not the right time for anyone to come in this direction thinking that it's going to be safe. Okay. I think we'll be vulnerable. Anybody coming to the border without understanding that COVID is going to be in a vulnerable situation.
County Judge Ricardo Samaniego, Mr. Ray Baca, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you, Mr. Baca.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Saul, as always.
Absolutely, Judge. And thank you for joining us. I'm Saul Saenz, and this has been ABC-7 Extra. Good night y buenas noches.
You're watching ABC-7, winner.